Okay, Rowan, so we're going to go straight into Apple, which, you know, we all know what products they produce. Market cap is right up above $700 billion, 768.2, trading just about at its all-time high or thereabouts, around $146 a share. Price to earnings ratio 17.55. That's interesting. It's gone up quite a lot because of the share price move. Dividend yield, it used to pay no dividends at all, 1.56. Let's look at the share chart. You'll see what I'm talking about. This, as I said earlier, all-time highs above 146. Oh yes, there's the price, top left. So Rowan, what do you think of these guys? I mean, obviously they've moved a lot. You could have picked them up at around $90 a share during the course of the last year.
Yeah, I mean, what you have seen, and you mentioned the P, is a significant re-rating. I think there has been some concern. Apple is more hardware-centric, specifically very reliant on iPhone sales. There was a small dip. The most recent incarnation, we have seen very good adoption and increased sales again. So optimism there. Coupled with that, obviously the whole sector, we're seeing particular optimism, but also their services revenue starting to grow and actually starting to accelerate. So that will supplement the hardware sales.
Okay, so you're talking about the iPhone 7. That sold better, more in the final festive season quarter than people thought, something like 75, 76, 77 million units, which is a lot if you think about it, how many they got to deliver every day. But that thing still looks the same as the iPhone 6 and the iPhone 6S in the sense of you can't tell, you know, when you're sitting with somebody at lunch whether or not they've got the latest
one. You have to hold it on its side and show you that headphone jack that's missing that you can actually distinguish.
The iPhone 8 or whatever they're going to call it, because it's the 10th anniversary of the iPhone, so there's talk they may call it something else. It's going to be an OLED screen, which is a different kind of screen. It's going to be brighter, more resilient, and then there's talk that it's going to be front and back glass. So you'll be able to tell that it's a different phone. So a lot of people who are status conscious, you know, luxury goods buyers are going to rush out and buy that one. So who knows? And I don't know whether they're going to go straight into that model or whether there's going to be a new upgraded 7S first or something. What are you hearing?
Probably. Yeah, I think they'll 7S, they seem to have a sort of fairly standard formula, which is, you know, better hardware, slightly larger memory, etc.
Better camera.
And then I think they'll have to do something special with the 10th anniversary edition. They really need to continue to come with new incarnations in order to drive those sales. And I think that's some naysayers, that's the concern, that you know, it's very reliant on continuing new sales. As you said, the iPhone 7, the iPhone 6, largely indistinguishable on the outside at least.
But the upgrade cycle, I mean, people were concerned that, you know, people wouldn't bother to upgrade. But with the iPhone 7, it showed that people had delayed their upgrade decision waiting for that moment. So I don't know. I mean, it's all very well to say everyone who can afford a smartphone already has one, but we have seen Apple take market share away from its competitors with inferior type products and, in fact, upgrade its own base, people who would never think of going anywhere else.
Yeah, so I think that's what they've got. They've got a very loyal base of followers that love Apple, have bought into everything Apple, iTunes, Apple Music, and so that is what they're mining. As long as that doesn't shrink and get attacked by other competitors, which it doesn't seem to be, I think they have a very sustainable business. And I think this is the realization that the market has had, that it's actually quite a defensive business, deserves a much higher rating than it's had. Hence the share price appreciation.
Plus, let's pick on a couple of other issues. We know they've got results out tonight. Chances are they're going to announce that they've already accumulated something like $250 billion of cash, 90% of which is outside of the US, where it has paid lower taxes. There's talk that the Trump administration is going to bring out one of these tax holidays where they can bring the money back to the US, which will allow them to obliterate the debt that they've raised to pay dividends to US-based shareholders. If that is the case, that's another net positive for Apple, because it means effectively they can improve their capital structure, they can accelerate their dividends, they may even pay a special dividend, because $250 billion, that's a third of the existing market cap, and that's like more money than most countries will ever see in a lifetime. That's more than the foreign reserves of the UK and Canada put together.
It's an unbelievable amount of money, and it does speak to what an important and you know, systematic business that it is. I agree, this tax potential repatriation is very significant, and I guess if you take the cash out of the valuation, that P is not even that high, and that's another attractive aspect.
What about if they were to use the cash, bring it back, and, you know, buy something cheap like Tesla?
Yeah, there's certainly that potential, and I think we
Make
have
Elon Musk the CEO of everything.
there's certainly, I think Apple cars, and it's an area
they looked
that
at a car and then they said, oh, looks like
but there was some reports that there was a car that has been reported. I guess Tesla's very expensive, but I guess relative to the market cap,
expensive.
it is something that they could look at. I don't know if it would be. I don't know if Elon Musk has the ambitions to be the CEO of such a large company. So it's an idea. I think they may explore other potential acquisitions, bolt-on acquisitions.
Because clearly the future of these mobile devices, I mean, it's fantastic, the phone, and of course people are very stuck on them, but it seems as though wearable devices, the Apple Watch we haven't spoken about today, but that's gotten some traction already. I've certainly been using one for the last 6 or 7 months as a running device because it tracks your heartbeat while you're going. So the Mac devices, there's a lot in that ecosystem that continues to remain very strong, and one could imagine them migrating away from that into other wearable devices.
Yeah, I think where we're seeing a big trend is Amazon have launched this Echo, which allows you to control aspects of your home using your voice.
Talk to.
Yeah, exactly. And Apple's a little bit behind there. There have been reports that they are going to come out with something to rival the Echo, and I think pull the entire ecosystem together, as you say. So control everything centrically using your voice. This is where we're headed, and Apple needs to be there.
And Apple Pay, of course, is important. So using your Apple device, you can use that to do purchases and so on. Okay, anyway, enough waffle about the company. The key question is at $146 a share, it's at its all-time high. It's the most valuable company in the world. We've seen over history that it's not a clever idea to buy the world's most valuable company because they tend to stumble. We've seen that in the past. But does Apple have enough going for it with all these new innovations coming, particularly with the iPhone, frankly, to justify this price and some more upside?
Yeah, I think you have to be a believer in all things Apple, in the iPhone, in the ecosystem. And if you do buy into it and believe it's not a strategic threat that they'll be chipped away by their competitors, it does remain a buy.
Right, good. I'm going to join you on that for sure. I'm a huge Apple bull, and I think the earnings tonight will be pretty strong, even though this is the quarter where they normally sell rather few iPhones because everybody bought them in December.